to get to the next one.
Okay.
Scroll down.
And the opportunity to speak on a platform. So God, thank you. I want to give you all the glory for that. And thank you guys for coming out tonight or today. So I'm going to pretty much go over how to build cash flow and wealth through credit and through real estate. Okay? So pretty much we're going to discuss how to leverage your credit profile to gain access to high limit capital so that way you can invest those funds into cash flowing businesses and assets. Okay? All right, so just a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Memphis. Came to Atlanta 2011 to attend college. I am a proud alumni of Clark Atlanta University. I graduated in 2015, and I graduated proud honors graduate. Graduated with a 3.8 GPA in all honors classes. I was a part of multiple honor societies as well, so yay, woo woo, Clark Atlanta. All right, so a little bit about myself and my background when it comes to entrepreneurship. So I am the person that was able to fire their 9-to-5 job. Hallelujah, glory be to the Lord. Yeah, so I come from corporate. That's all I know is being a worker, right? And so I was able to fire my corporate job by taking on real estate. So I am a real estate investor. Real estate is my foundation. That's how I was able to generate multiple six figures where I was able to fire my corporate job. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 4 years now, but I started 7 years ago. So I first got my foot in the water back in 2018, and within the past 4 years, I was able to take on entrepreneurship full-time, and I was able to fire my 9-to-5 corporate job. Again, I've generated multiple six figures with various businesses that I have. I am a real estate investor. I do help people get access to funding. So I am a funding consultant. Well, I help my clients get access to $50,000 to $250,000 in funding with 0% interest. Okay. Now we can do personal funding or business funding. If it's personal funding, it is going to be a little bit of interest. But if it's on the business side, we get that 0% interest, which is why I love business, right? And I also have digital products and services as well. So I'm a mentor, I'm a coach. I have high ticket products, I have low ticket products, and I've generated six figures online, which is true passive income, when I can literally wake up to thousands of dollars just from being asleep because of the systems and platforms that I have working for me in the back end. So I was actually able to turn my knowledge into a digital product that I sell online to the masses. All right, so again, I teach people how to become financially independent and how to gain life freedom through multiple skill sets and investments, okay? I am featured in 4 publications. I was featured in IB Reporter, Digital Journal, Medium, and the big one thus far is New York Weekly. So yes, I am featured in all 4 of those articles, and I am an author of 2 ebooks as well. All right, so let's get down to it. So today we're going to learn about how to build a strong and solid credit profile. We're going to learn how to leverage that credit profile to gain access to high limit funding, and then we're going to go over how to use those funds to invest into cash flowing assets and businesses, for example, like real estate. All right, so this is how you build a strong and solid credit profile. I'm here to tell you right now, having a good credit score means absolutely nothing. Okay, you can still get denied even with a 750, a 780, an 800 credit score. You want to know why that is? It's because your credit profile is too thin. Most people think the only thing they need is a good credit score, which is a very big misconception. A lot of people do not know that lenders look at your overall credit profile, not just the credit score. So for example, again, you can have a 780, an 800 credit score, but if you only have 2 primary accounts, you'll get denied. You want to know why? It's because even though you have a great credit score, lenders are looking at you like, well, you got a good credit score, but that doesn't give us enough evidence that you can manage multiple credit. That doesn't mean you can handle a large limit, right? And so they're looking for different type of credit, revolving credit, secured credit, unsecured examples, right? So if you just got a credit card and just your car note, it's not enough, all right? So what you need to have at least 7 to 10 primary accounts. Okay, now I know a lot of people like to be authorized users, which is great. But being an authorized user on somebody else's credit profile or credit card doesn't count as a primary account. Yeah, it does help with your credit profile, but it's not considered a primary. Okay, so I want to make that very clear. To have a solid credit profile, you need 7 to 10 primary accounts in good standing. All of them. Okay? And then we're going to go over the various types of credit. Revolving credit, installment credit, secured and unsecured. So let's take a deeper dive into different credit. So revolving credit. Alright, so when you have credit cards, right? Or when you have a home equity line of credit, that is considered a revolving credit. This credit allows for you, the borrower, to repeatedly use and repay credit up to a set limit, offering flexibility in payments, right? And so, as you know, with a credit card, you're able to withdraw that money, use that money, right? Spend that money, and then you pay it back. And it's revolving because it's just a continuous cycle, right? You use the credit, you pay back that credit, use it again. It's a revolving credit, okay? All right, another type of credit, installment credit, right? Auto loans, your car note, right? Mortgages, student loans, right? This type of credit involves borrowing a specific sum of money, right? And then you're repaying it back. You're repaying it in fixed equal installments over a predetermined period, right? So your car note is the perfect example of that, right? We know typically car notes is about 5 years on average, right? And then you have that interest, you have whatever that monthly payment is, and you're paying that X amount of money each and every month, right? That's your installment until you pay off that loan, all right? So it's a installment credit because, again, you're paying those monthly installments, okay? All right, secure credit, mortgages, auto loans, right? Meaning, and we're just going to put this in layman's terms, if you got some type of asset, the lender is going to use that as collateral, all right? So that's why it's called secured, because your loan is backed up by an asset. So if you default on that loan for whatever reason, that lender has the right to take your house, your car, whatever asset that you use for collateral, they're able to do that. So that's why it's called secured, right? Because your loan, that credit limit, is backed up by something. You have that security. So if that lender doesn't get your money each and every month, they got something to secure, like a safety net that they can take away from you, which is whatever asset that you had put up for collateral, right? And now, unsecured, right? It's literally the complete opposite of secured, right? That's your personal credit card. That's a personal loan, right? You can qualify for that loan, not because of collateral, but because of your payment history, or because of your credit profile, right? They look at your income, right, to see if you're credit worthy for them to loan you that money, right? So again, your personal credit card, personal loans, student loans, right? We know that's a scam. I digress. Okay, next. Because listen, I'm gonna say this: I've never seen an 18-year-old that can walk into a bank and get a loan for $100,000. But if I wanted to be that same 18-year-old and apply for student loans, they'll give it to me. But what they're not telling me is that I'm already digging myself in a hole before I even have a chance to go out into the real world to figure out how I'm gonna pay this back. I digress. Okay. Hey, that'll be its own presentation within itself. Right. All right. So now that we know the different type of credits that you can have, I'm gonna say no negative items. Okay, so we know that your credit score isn't just the only thing you need. We know that's not good enough. We know that we need a great credit score along with a solid credit profile. But then you have some of those people that say, well, KK, I just got one thing in collections, but I got everything else. I got 10 primary accounts. They're all different type of accounts. I got a 780 credit score, but I just got that one thing in collections. But it happened 5 years ago, though. And you'll get denied. Unfortunately, you no longer qualify. So you having 7 to 10 primary accounts, you having a great credit score, if you have any derogatories, any negative items, you no longer qualify. I don't care how good your credit score is. Okay? So again, guys, absolutely nothing negative on your credit profile. You must remove all of this. And I want to say this here because credit Yes, you can do that. Credit bureaus will never tell you this. They'll never tell you how to do this. They'll never share this information with you. You want to know why? Why would they? It doesn't benefit them. Okay? And so I'm here to tell you right now, it is a very big misconception that I can't get this thing removed off of my credit profile because I owe the money. It's not about owing the money. You can owe the money. It's about finding inaccuracies that the credit bureau is doing. If you can find anything that the credit bureaus are being in compliance with the federal law, they have to remove it from your credit report. I'm going to give you guys a good example. You know that you can put in a letter that tells the credit bureaus not to contact you at all. The moment they call your phone, the moment they send a text, the moment they send any type of mail to your house, they just broke federal law. So whatever they was sending that you missed payments on, they have to remove it from your credit report because they just broke federal law. Now again, you do need the right templates. You have to have lingo, right? You have to put in the letter what code they're violating. And you have your template, your letter has to be right. If not, they're going to take advantage of you because they're going to know, well, what code am I breaking? What law am I violating? Because you didn't state it here. So why would I remove it from your credit report? They're taking advantage of you being naive. Period. Okay? They're taking advantage of you being naive. Okay? So yes, there is a way to structure those templates or structure that letter, but if you have the right structure, you can get anything removed. I know I have removed student loans. I have removed people's evictions, people's behind on their mortgage. Guys, you can remove all of that. Now, do you still owe that money? You do. Do you still owe that money? You do. Yeah, you can get it off of your credit report, but you still owe the money. But at least it's not harming your credit profile. So even though you might owe that money, you can still do what you need to do with your credit profile, like going to get access to funding. So that way you can still invest or still buy real estate or whatever you need to do. You're not delayed because of that. Okay, so I just want to make that clear because a lot of people think, oh, I got my student loans removed. Well, you still owe the money. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. Okay, so again, guys, nothing in collections, no late payments. You might, and this is a strong might, if your late payment history is 2 years or more, it might not affect your credit profile. But again, that's a strong might. It depends, probably depends on the lender, probably depends on the company. But it's always best to not have no late payments, right? But if you do have late payments, and your late payments have a history of 2 years or more, I have been able to help my clients get funded because they have late payments, but it was 5 years ago. You know, but again, that's a strong might. It's always ideal to just not have any negative items, okay? No derogatories and then inquiries. Whew! Lord Jesus. Stop applying for stuff and not removing these inquiries. Okay? Listen, even you went to go apply for a car, and this dealer did pull all kinds of, they didn't hit Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, they didn't hit every single credit bureau. Just for you not to even have bought a car with that dealership. Right? And you just left those hard inquiries just on there. Alright? So please only have 2 to 3 max inquiries. Okay? Don't have more than 3 because that is going to harm your overall credit profile as well. You want to know why? Because the lender sees that you have a lot of inquiries. Their perception is you're thirsty. You're thirsty for money. Why are you so thirsty right now? I don't even know if I want to lend to you. Because why you need so much money? Why you need access to money right now?
Do they still allow you multiple inquiries, like for a car loan, within a certain period of time that they only count it as one?
Yes, ma'am. That is true.
Explain that.
Yeah. So what she's referring to is this, right? So this is the thing, though, right? It's always best to, I like to call it reverse engineer. It's always best to know which credit bureau the dealership is going to pull from. Okay? So that way you freeze. So for example, if I go get a car, I went to the dealership, they know which credit bureaus they're pulling from because they know which lender they're using. They know whatever lender they're using or whatever lender they want to refer to you, they know exactly which credit bureau that lender is going to pull from. So it's your job, again, they take advantage of us being naive. So that's why they just pull from every which one because they're trying to figure out the best financing option for you, but they're not telling you that. Okay? And so what you do is that you ask questions. Okay, for this Honda Civic, what lender are you referring to right now? Okay, GMC. Okay, what credit bureau does does GMC pull from? Experian? Okay, I'm going to freeze my Equifax and my TransUnion. So I can know for a fact you ain't going to try to go behind my back and pull other than GMC. Alright? Because you ain't going to be able to get through if I do that. But so pretty much what she's referring to is, yes, if you can pull, so for example, if it's in that same day, right? Just say they went to different lenders and all lenders pull from the same Experian. Well, it's going to just count as one pull, or one hard inquiry, because you did it within that certain amount of time. You did it in the same day. But for example, if you went to GMC, they pulled for Experian. Then the next day you went to another lender, they pulled from Experian. It is going to be 2 inquiries on your credit profile. So you want to do all of the hard pulls in the same day. Okay? And then also too, as soon as they do the pull, remove it from your account. It's a simple phone call. Hey, I see an inquiry, but I don't have an account with GMC. They have to remove it because there's no evidence that you have that account. Another way to do that, even if you did get financing from that lender, and even if you have an open account, what the credit bureaus will tell you is that you can still remove that inquiry as long as you do it before it hits the credit profile. Okay? So just say I went to Bank of America and I applied for a Bank of America credit card. Well, I know that inquiry is going to hit my account because whether it's an open account or a closed account, I know that it's going to hit my credit profile. But I did get this credit card, so I know it's going to be an open account. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the credit bureaus and get it removed before that open account hits my credit profile. Because there's no evidence to show that I made that inquiry. There's no evidence to show that. But once it's already on your credit profile, they're going to say, well, it's there. Do you have a Bank of America credit card? You do. So why would we remove this inquiry when it's clear as day that you made this inquiry? Okay? So again, you can remove anything off of your credit profile. You just got to be strategic and know how to do it. Okay? So that's why I have $250,000 in funding. And I was able to have no inquiries on my credit profile because I know the game. I know what to do. And again, if you don't have access to this information, how can you know what to do? And so that's why I give grace, because at the end of the day, you can't do what you don't know. All right? And so that's why it's important for me to share this information and to give back. So that way you know what to do and how to do it. They want to play games, you play the same game. You just play it smarter. All right? Okay, so I want everybody to take a picture of this, of what I'm about to show you. This is going to be an example of what an ideal credit profile should look like. I want everybody to take a picture of this. This is an ideal credit profile. 10% or less credit utilization, 100% on-time payment history, 0 derogatory marks, 0 collections, 0 late payments, 3 to 4 years or more in credit history, 10 or more primary accounts, all in good standing, 2 or less hard inquiries for each credit bureau. This is an example of an ideal credit profile. You can get approved for dang near anything if your credit profile mirrors this. You want to go apply for a $500,000 house? There you go. You want to go get a Ferrari? There you go. You want to get access to $250,000 in funding? There you go. This is what an ideal credit profile should look like. You can literally get anything. You can qualify for anything with this credit profile if it looks like that. Okay? Now, this is how you build a strong credit profile fast, because at the end of the day, it takes time to build your credit. It takes time to build a solid credit profile. It takes time. But as business owners, we need access to money right now. We don't have time. Because we can't let these opportunities pass us by, right? And so there are strategies that you can apply to make this process much faster, okay? And so trade lines, all right? So trade lines essentially is individual credit accounts like credit cards, loans, mortgages that are listed on your credit report. They provide lenders with information about your borrowing and repayment history, helping them assess your credit worthiness. Okay, so for example, we already know what we need our credit profile to look like, an ideal credit profile, okay? Well, just say I have a $50,000 credit card with Bank of America, okay? Well, just say Elijah, right? Elijah needed to credit profile, he a little shaky. His credit profile a little thin. He got like 2 accounts, 3 accounts. All right? But he needs to show this lender he can manage and be responsible with $50,000 because he wants to go apply for his own $50,000 Bank of America credit card. Well, what I'm going to say is, Elijah, I can help you out. Now, this is not going to count as a primary account, but I can have my credit profile reflect yours. This is how we do it with trade lines. Okay? So, for example, I'm going to make Elijah an authorized user on my Bank of America $50,000 credit limit credit card. You want to know why that is? It's because even though being an authorized user is not a primary account, it's not going to show up on your credit profile as a primary account, it's still going to show that $50,000 credit on his credit profile. So when he goes apply for a credit, right? So what you can do is have your rent reflect on your credit profile. All right. Now it don't make no sense that you can pay rent on time for years, and then the moment you late, they gonna report that though. They gonna report that lateness, but they don't report me paying my rent on time each month. But the one time I'm late, the one time I fall on hard time, you quick to report that to the credit bureaus, which is a shame, but that's the world we live in, right? And so go ahead and start utilizing your rent and having it reflect on your credit profile. There are platforms that you can do that on. All right, it's no secret. All you gotta do is type in Google rent report to my credit, and your rent every month will start reporting to your credit report. Now, I have my own rental play because I am a real estate investor, so I do have my own rental play. So on a $12 a month subscription. Now there is a one-time initial fee. We can talk about that fee later, but I just wanted to make a point that it's just a $12 a month subscription. You pay for Netflix, you pay for Hulu, all this stuff, more storage on your Apple phone, you pay for all of that and ain't getting no return. So what's a $12 a month subscription to help add another primary account in good standing? And the great thing about my rental play versus one that you can qualify for today with another business or another platform, mine is going to be backdated. Alright, so for example, you can go out and go to somebody's platform and have your rent start reporting today, but guess what? That's today. It takes time. We ain't got time. We trying to build a credit profile fast so we can qualify for funding, okay? And so with my rental play, not only am I able to help you report your rent, but it's going to be already backdated 10 to 12 years. The older you are, the better. Right? So if I'm 32, so right, I can only report mine. Thank you, Mom. I can only Thank you, Mom. So I'm 32 years old, so I can only, 18, when I was 18, well that's, you do the math. So I can only report mine 10 to 12 years, right? But just say you have somebody that's older, right? Well, we can go all the way up to 18 years. So now you have an 18-year history, or a 10-year history, or 15-year history that's already backdated when you're already paying your rent. I mean, it's not really your rent, so if you want to be late with your rent, this will still report positively. Okay. Alright, so I just want to make that clear.
That's what you get for the $12 a month.
There you go.
Amen.
Amen. So this rent is going to work for you regardless if you pay your own rent late. Alright, it's still going to report every month in good standing, and it's going to have that backdated 10 all the way to 18 years. Alright, now the great thing about this is that you can cancel the subscription at any time. Just like Netflix, just like Hulu. If you stop paying the subscription, then the primary account is just going to fall off your credit report like it was never there. Okay? Now, pledge loans. Does anybody know what pledge loans is? No. So pledge loans, aka secured loan, is pretty much when you leverage your cash into credit. So we know that to have primary accounts, to have a mortgage, to have a car note, to have credit cards, they're going to pull your credit. Not only are they going to pull your credit, but you have to be qualified for them to approve you for that credit card or for that mortgage or for that car loan. Well, with a pledge loan, you don't have to worry about qualifying because you're leveraging your cash, turning your cash into credit that's going to then report to your credit profile as a loan. Let me give you guys an example. So just say I went to Navy Federal. Navy Federal is one of the best banks that does this. They call it pledge loans. Okay? Now, another bank might not call it pledge loans. They might call it just a secured loan. Okay? But Bank of America, not Bank of America, Navy Federal specifically calls it pledge loans. So just say I got $1,000 sitting in my savings account. That's another thing too. Money sitting in your savings is money that you're losing. Money.
Say that one more time.
This the camera on right here?
Yeah, say it.
Hey people, money that is in your savings account, money that is under a mattress in a shoebox, you losing money. Alright? Because we know that the value of the dollar goes down every single day, especially in America. That's a different topic. But yes, you're losing money. So instead of that money sitting and depreciating, not making you no return, you're not getting no interest from the bank at all, you might as well use that money towards something. Why don't you use that money toward building your credit profile? Okay? So what you do is, let's say I got $1,000 sitting in my savings account. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Navy Federal. I'm going to tell Navy Fed, I'm going to say, hey Navy Federal, I want to do a pledge loan. And I want to do a pledge loan for an amount of $1,000. What they're going to do is take that $1,000 from that savings account that I have, right? They're going to turn that $1,000 cash now into a $1,000 credit. So it's going to be a loan, okay? So it's kind of like me saying, hey, take this $1,000, but just give it back to me in credit. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pay down 90 to 95% off rip. So the moment that money is transferred from my savings and it's transferred over to another account, it's not really another account, but just to give you the visual. Once I transfer that money from my savings and they put it in another account, it's now frozen because it's no longer cash, it's credit. What I'm going to do is immediately pay down 90 to 95% of that. Immediately, okay? Want to know why? Anybody want to take a guess? So, I go to Navy Federal, and then I see the account post the next day. Instead of financing the whole $1,000 over the X amount of time that this loan, that me and the bank set this loan up for, why did I pay down 90% off rip instead of financing the entire $1,000? Anybody want to take a guess at that? The reason why that is because we know that this is a personal loan. This personal loan is going to show up on our credit profile as a personal loan. It's a primary account. It looks real good when another lender can see that I've already paid down 90% of it. Keep in mind, this is your cash. This is your money. Now, when I pay down 90% of that, I'm doing that strategically because it's going to reflect on my credit profile that I took out a loan for X amount of money, and I've already paid down 90% of that loan. That's why you want to do it immediately. Another reason why you want to do that immediately is because now your monthly payment is going to be extremely low. So we know in this example, we turned $1,000 into credit. We turned that into a loan. We paid down 90% of that. So 90% of $1,000 is $900. Well, one thing, that $900 now turns back into liquid cash. So it goes back, it's my money, it goes right back to me. We're going to put that $900 liquid back into that savings account. Now we have a balance of $100. What we're going to do is finance that $100 over that X amount of time that we set up with the bank. It could be, say, 24 months, 2 years. Well, my minimum payment each month is going to be pretty low if I'm only financing $100 versus $1,000. So those are the two main reasons why you want to pay it down immediately, 90 to 95%. One, so you can show in your credit profile that you pay down 90 to 95% of your loan. And then two, you want to have a very, very low monthly payment. Okay? Because with this, it is a strategy, but the bank is going to put a little bit of interest on it. Okay? It's not going to be a lot, it's going to be a little bit. But again, it's a strategy that works without you having to qualify or having hard inquiry on your credit profile. Okay? So, whatever that $100 is, divided by 24 months, that's probably like $10 a month, maybe $12 a month. Now, when you pay that each and every month, it shows on your credit profile that you're paying on time and you've already paid off 90% of your loan. Now, each time you make that $12 a month payment, it goes back liquid. So now, after 24 months, you pay down that $1,000. That $1,000 now transfers back into cash that went back into your savings account. But now you just build your credit profile over 2 years with using your money instead of that money sitting in savings and not doing anything for you. Does that make sense? Any questions with that? Okay, so do that today. That's a strategy you can take advantage of today. especially if you got money just sitting. Chef corporations, this is how you build business credit very fast. So a lot of people, and I hear this a lot, when I ask people, do you already have business credit established? They say, yeah, my property is in my business name. Or yeah, I got business credit cards. That doesn't mean you have business credit established. Just because you have a business credit card, just because you have a house in your business, that doesn't mean you have business credit. Okay, because if you had to use your personal credit to qualify for that business loan, it's not building business credit. Okay? So again, so chef corporations is when you pay pretty much, so the same thing like a credit line. You know how my $50,000 Bank of America credit card, when I made Elijah an authorized user, now that credit is reflecting on his credit report. It's the same thing. What you want to do is find somebody who already has business credit already established, and obviously you have to pay them, but once you pay them, they're able to have their whole entire business credit profile reflect my business credit profile. So I don't have to go out and get 5 to 10 accounts or whatever the case might be with my EIN, right? I can just pay to have somebody else's already established credit profile reflect mine. So that way, if I needed to just use my EIN and I didn't want to be a personal guarantor to take out a business loan, well, I know, well, dang, I ain't got business credit. Let me hit up Elijah and I'll pay him so that way he can add that trade line and his business credit profile is going to reflect on mine. This is a fast track to success. All right, so we know that this is a way you build your personal credit profile. Chef corporations is how you build your business credit profile. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, chef corporations are not cheap. Okay, it's not cheap. If you find anybody who does that, it's going to be thousands of dollars. Just warning you now. Okay? But again, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as investors, we look at things from perspective. I would rather pay somebody $1,000 so I can go get access to 50. Okay.
Well, they're taking the liability. They're accepting the liability.
Yeah.
You don't pay.
Yeah.
So
Well, the
that's
thing,
why, you charge a lot.
exactly, and if they don't pay, well, that's going to show up negatively on mine. So it's a two-way street. I need to know that you need to, you need to make sure I got the money to pay you, and I need to know that you are going to make sure that you're paying your stuff on time, because any negative things that's on your credit profile is going to reflect on mine, right? So it's a two-way street. All right, so now that we know that we need a good credit score, along with a solid, strong credit profile, we know how to build a strong credit profile. Now we can go get access to some money. All right, so these are the banks to get funded with. Now, obviously, you can get funded with anything, but this is just to name a few. So what I like to do is this. And when I tell people I have $250,000 in business funding, they are so like, oh my God, huh? But it's not as hard as what it might sound. It's not, okay? Let me tell you how, right? What I like to do is reverse engineer, right? I like to know what lender I'm going to and what credit bureau they're going to pull from, okay? So these are the banks that pull, and these are just a few, not all, but these are a few banks that pulls with Experian. These are a few that pulls with TransUnion. These are a few banks that pulls with Equifax, right? So if I know I got a solid credit profile, because we already know what we need to have a strong, solid credit profile, I can go get access to get access to some money now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be strategic. I'm not going to go to all of these banks so I have all of these inquiries on one credit profile. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose one. So I'm going to go to PNC with Experian. That's one pool. I'm going to get, just say I get 50,000 from here. I'm going to go to TransUnion. I'm going to Navy Fed. I'm going to try to get another 50,000. That's $100,000. Then I'm going to go to, Ameris Bank and try to get another 50,000. That's $150,000. And I only had one inquiry for each credit profile that I can then remove before that open account hits my credit profile. So now I technically got access to $150,000 in funding because I have the credit profile that allows me to get access to that amount of capital. 0% interest because it's business credit, right? Now that 0% interest is the introductory period. I can tell you, man, so much I want to share with y'all, but I'm limited with time. But yes, there is a way that even after that introductory period, you can still get another 0% interest for another introductory period along with a higher credit limit. That's a different presentation for a different day, but yes, you can do that. That's how I have access to $250,000 in funding still on a 0% interest. Can't dive into that right now. That's a totally different topic. But I just want to make a point. I got access to $150,000 with only one inquiry. Because I got 50 here, 50 here, 50 here, one inquiry. And then I know that I'm going to remove those inquiries anyway, so it's really 0 inquiries. And all of these is on 0% interest for whatever that introductory period is for that specific bank. That's how I got access to $250,000. I got $40,000 with Chase, 2 credit cards, $25,000 with Bank of America. Got 1 here with Navy Fed. Here, all we do is credit stack. That's how I got $250,000. So you just see with only 3 credit cards, in this example, I have $150,000. You think you can't do it again and get another $150,000? That's $300,000. That's how you do it. That's what wealthy people do. That's how when you hear somebody say, "I got $1 million line of credit," that doesn't mean that they have it all with one bank. They just have access to that through multiple banks. Okay? It sounds good just to say that though. Yeah, I got access to $1 million in funding. Yeah. But they're not telling you it's spread out over 5 to 10 banks. They're not telling you that. Okay? But this is how you do it. This is how I got access to $250,000 in funding. Okay, so now that we have a good credit profile, now that we have access to funding, now we got to go invest those funds, right? Now, we're not getting these funds just to buy a car or just to go out and buy clothes and shoes or go to your favorite restaurant. You want to go to, Nobu, just to look nice, to take pictures on IG. You trying to flex. No, we are investing those funds into cash flowing businesses and assets. We have to be responsible with this money because we still have to pay it back, guys. Still got to pay it back, okay? So these are just a few opportunities that you can use those funds to invest in. Digital products and services. Look, we live in a time that is digital. We live in a social media world. If I don't care what you do, you can be a lawnmower. I don't care what business you're in. I don't care what you do. I don't care what industry you're in. If you do not convert to digital, you will get left behind. Period. So what you need to do is turn your knowledge into a digital product or service. Okay? These are the ways that you can do that. Courses, curriculums, webinars, private communities, masterminds. All of this is virtual, sitting at your home in front of a laptop, making tens up to hundreds of thousands of dollars just turning your knowledge into a digital product. Now, obviously, you need systems. Your system stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money because your systems and your platforms works for you on the back end. But the great thing about digital products, which is why I love it, is because I already have the skill, I already have the knowledge and the wisdom. Why am I just letting it sit in my head? I'm going to convert that over to a digital product that I only have to make one time, but I get paid for a lifetime. The chain of commands, the more labor work that you do, the less you get paid. When you use your mind, you get paid the most. So I love the fact that a digital product, I already have the knowledge, I'm just turning it over digitally, creating an ebook. Right? Creating a course, a curriculum, right? And then letting my systems and my platforms do all of the behind the work stuff. Right? I did that, I created that one time. And I got paid for a lifetime. We working smart, not hard. The people who make the most money do the less work. Their brain does the work. They don't work with their physical body. The more physical work you do, the less money you get paid. The more work you do with your mind and your knowledge and your skill sets, the more money you get paid. Okay? Real estate, right? Single family homes, multifamily, land, commercial, whatever that real estate is, you can wholesale. Wholesale is how I got my foot. That's how I was able to find my corporate job. I started wholesaling. Right? Wholesaling is when you play the middleman between the seller and the buyer. You just facilitate. That's all you do. You're flipping paper. I'm going to put the seller under contract to buy their property, right? And then I'm going to assign that same contract over for a higher amount for a buyer to purchase. And then the difference between the two is my fee. That's my profit. So So for example, I come to you and I say, hey, I want to buy your house for $200,000. You agree to that. You sign the purchase and sell agreement. I'm going to take that same purchase and sell agreement for $200,000 and assign it over to the buyer who's actually going to buy her property for $220,000. When we close on that deal, I made $20,000 off of that one deal. Imagine if you did 3 deals in a month. Imagine if you did 4 deals in a month. You made $80,000 in a month just from flipping paper. I didn't have to go get a loan. I didn't have to buy the property. I didn't have to worry about closing costs. I didn't have to worry about nothing. Going to the title company and signing closing papers, I didn't have to worry about none of that. All I had to do was facilitate. And I made 6 figures off of this. This is how I build my foundation. Okay? Rentals, being a landlord, we all know what that is. And then fix and flip, obviously, when you're a rehabber. Now, both of these two are great strategies, but it's very high risk to high reward. Versus being a wholesaler is low risk to high reward. That's why I always tell people, hey, you gotta have a foundation. Why are you starting out fixing and flipping and you know nothing about real estate? You know you just gonna waste hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Because at the end of the day, you gotta crawl before you walk. And then in order to learn how to walk, you're gonna fall multiple times. So why start with the extra strategy that is good, but it's so high risk and you are just starting out? All right, so wholesaling allows for me to learn the market. It allows for me to learn how to analyze properties, how to pull comps, the formulas I need to even know how to make an offer. What is going to be considered a good offer? How do I know what's considered a good offer? Right? I don't know that until I run the analytics. Right? Numbers, analytics, and data lets me know if it's a good deal, not my emotions. Okay? Creative financing. Listen, y'all. What Hakeem shared with you guys is great. It's great. It is, right? However, it's not necessary. I'll say that. You can build you a rental portfolio. You can build a real estate portfolio and not have to worry about a loan, a lender, bank statements, W-2s, tax forms, credit checks, none of that. You want to know how you can buy property? With none of that, creative financing. And these are the different ways that you can create a finance. Subject to is pretty much when you're taking over somebody's mortgage. You're not assuming the mortgage, you're just taking over their payments, which is great because the loan is still in their name. But I just got a chance to buy their property with zero interest, well, not zero interest, whatever that interest rate that they have, but 9 times out of 10 is lower than what it is today, right? I'm buying their property with just paying their already existing mortgage, so I'm really buying the property for cheap. Well, let me tell you, okay, I see a confused face. Let me show you how it's cheap, right? So just say the value of your house.
I got it that it's cheap, but I don't understand. It has the title switch over.
That happens at the closing table, right? So at the closing table, I have to come with a down payment, okay? Now, when I come with that down payment, now typically investors would like to be no more than 10% of whatever the mortgage balance is or whatever the purchase price is, okay? So let's just say you've been at your house for 10 years. You got a 3% interest, you got a conventional loan, FHA loan, whatever it is, and you got a $100,000 balance or an $80,000 balance, right? Well, all I got to do is come to the closing table with 10% of that. So what, $8,000, $10,000, $20,000, whatever that is. And then once we sign closing docs, the deed is then transferred over to my name. So even though the loan is not in my name, because I'm just taking over somebody's existing payments.
Because the bank doesn't have to approve that?
Nope. It's none of the bank's business.
Right.
Doesn't matter. The banks just care about getting their money. Because guess what? How does the bank know that I'm paying you? How do they know that? Because the loan is still in your name. Me and you made the agreement. I didn't make the agreement with the bank. But I just know, one, when we close, the title company has to put together a promissory note that I promise to pay X amount over X amount of years. And then obviously I gotta come to the closing table with that down payment. We call it an entry fee. Okay? And once we sign closing docs, the deed transfers over to me.
So if it defaults, who gets the hit?
Who named this mortgage in?
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, so, one thing I love about business is all about negotiation. It's very creative, right? worst they can tell you is no. Well, I'm just gonna counter. All right, well, how about this? Well, how about this? How about this? It's all negotiations. It's all business. All right. Seller finance is the opposite of subject to. Seller finance is when the seller has no mortgage. So now there's no banks involved at all because there's no mortgage balance. I'm paying you directly each and every month, and that money going directly in your pocket. But I have the deed to the property. So that's how okay, we back. Cool. All right, so lease options. This is exactly what it is. You're giving somebody the option to buy. All right, so they start out as a renter for X amount of time, and then you're giving them an option to purchase the property after their rental agreement. And then rent to own, self-explanatory. It's kind of like lease options. The difference is that once they sign a rent to own agreement, they already have the intentions to purchase. Versus with a lease option, at the end of their rental agreement, they have the option to choose to keep renting or to purchase. But with rent to own, the moment you sign that agreement, after a certain amount of period that you're renting, you're already committing to buying the property. So that's the difference between these two. They're one and the same, but the agreements are different. Okay? So this is how you can buy property with no bank, no credit, no W-2s, no tax forms, and you can build you a multi-million-dollar rental portfolio or real estate portfolio by doing so. And you can do this with single family, commercial, land, multifamily. Okay? And just like I did here, so I just want to show you some examples of me, my fix and flips that I've done. This is my first fix and flip back in 2018. This is the end result of everything. You can be able to close real estate deals like this, where, again, you can utilize those strategies, leveraging your credit profile to get access to funding that you can invest into your business and close real estate deals like this. And then just some more deals to show you guys. And so, just he big dog, ain't it? But just want so again, guys, I hope this information was very valuable. That is the end of my presentation. Please scan this QR code. Follow me on social media. You will have all of my social media platforms, my contact information, my email, but I also do offer one-on-one mentorship if you guys are interested in one-on-one mentorship. And I do have a private community where I pretty much teach various skills that you can learn and turn your knowledge into a digital product to make true passive income online. So again, my mentorship is it's a higher ticket because it's one-on-one mentorship. But my private community is very, very cost efficient. So again, you're spending money every single day on, not you specifically, but just general you. You spend money every day on nothing. The moment you walk out your door, you're spending $100 just walking out your door. So my private community is literally less than a cup of coffee a day. Where you can learn all of these skill sets plus more that we went over today. Your credit, how to build your credit, real estate investing, content creation, right? Systems, platforms, how to build a digital product. All of that is in my community. We also have weekly coaching calls with myself. So if you have any questions, any guidance that you need, you can share those questions, or I can help you out on our weekly calls. Okay? So again, I have one-on-one mentorship. It is higher ticket, but if that's not feasible for you, join my low ticket private community. It's literally less than a cup of coffee a day. I can't stress that enough. Okay, and then I also can help you guys get access to $50,000 to $250,000 in funding, personal and or business funding, if you guys need access to that as well. So that link or this QR code will give you access to all of that, my private community, my website for funding, if that's something that you wanted to do, my mentorship and all of my social media, my TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of that. My phone number, my email. So please scan this QR code, follow me on all social platforms, and thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it.